What a day. I'm going to wait a few minutes for everyone to come on before I start speaking. I just got home. Well, I guess it's almost an hour ago now, but my keyboard wasn't working. So that was an additional thing going on today. So me and technology, all of you guys know how it goes with me. Get my lip gloss. So happy Tuesday. It's not Monday, which is when I normally do this broadcast, but yesterday, Monday, once again, just like the week before, but the week before I realized right at 8:30 and I came on, did not even realize anything until I woke up this morning and I had a bunch of texts on my phone and I had a bunch of Facebook messages and Michelle was writing to me like, hey, what happened last night? And I was like, totally forgot it was Monday yesterday. So now let's not all be confused and think that today is Monday because today is Tuesday, which means tomorrow's Wednesday. But normally, in case you are joining me for the first time, I do this every Monday night at 8:30. But my brain, I don't know. I have a lot on my mind, but I mean, not like, I don't know. I don't think I have like early Alzheimer's or anything, but totally forgot that it was Monday at all. But here's my reasoning why, even though it's not really legit, is that I always work on Mondays and then I have YouTube live on Monday night. But I was supposed to have a week-long workshop this weekend, but that had to get moved because something else happened during the week. So I had to postpone that week workshop. But I had already had off on Monday. So when I work a full weekend, I just take off that Monday. So my schedule was already set. Didn't even think about adding appointments that Monday because I didn't even think about it. And so on Monday, I had no appointments and I was home all day and I was cleaning feverishly and getting things ready. And so I'm thinking it's Sunday. So I'm thinking tomorrow I'll do YouTube live. But no, it was Monday. So that's why. Now, let me explain to you why I had to postpone that weekend workshop. Last week, I was upset and I was joined by my oldest son, Jack, and I was upset because he was going away to school on Wednesday night. And we brought down our new puppy, Baker, and then Jack joined me for like an hour or more. And we had a really good time, and then we had to get him ready to go to college. And then Wednesday came, we got him ready to college. I'm about to bring him down and he is just sick to his stomach. Like he does not want to go. And I'm like, oh gosh, like it'll be okay. Long story short, Thursday comes and he's like, no. So I'm like, okay, you can come home. We need to see if we can enroll you into another college on Friday before you withdraw. And if we can't, then you have to stay the semester. So all of that was happening from Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday morning, bright and early, we went over to a local community college and we were like begging, like, please, can we get him in? And we could. He's non-matriculated right now because we were so late. And so we got him enrolled into college. We stopped at the bookstore, got all his books. We registered for all his classes. We did everything we needed to do. And then we went back to the Bronx. So I was there Wednesday night and Friday, back to the Bronx. We unpacked his dorm room. We got everything in the car, which you just don't realize how much crap these kids have in this tiny little dorm rooms. I thought it was going to be like a quick 1, 2, 3 thing. It was not. Lifting, carrying, sweating. We withdrew him, and Friday night around 7 o'clock, I think it was, we returned home. So that forced me, because I didn't know what was going to happen on Friday, that forced me to cancel my class all weekend. So the good news of all of this is that Jack is home and I'm happy for him and I'm relieved. It feels right. So the whole point of this story is a little backstory as to why, Jack will be with me again on this broadcast because he's not away at school. It worked out. And the point is for everyone is this feels right. The other college, like we were hopeful, it's his first semester, and I know hardly anyone enjoys their first semester. Very few people like it. So That's normal. He was ready to give it a go, but it just didn't feel right. Didn't feel right to him. He didn't want to tell me because he didn't want to disappoint me. And we were able to have a really good conversation about the things that would disappoint me that he did and the things that would never disappoint me. And I kept asking him, feel your way through this whole experience. Feel your way through what feels right. How does your body feel when you think about going back or being back at the college in the Bronx? And he's like, I just feel like I'm all constricted and I'm all balled up. And I said, okay, what do you feel like about the idea of coming home and, just going to a community college? And he was like, I feel open and I feel free. That's it, people. That is intuition. And that is the simplest way for you to activate your intuition and to really listen to what feels right to you. Whether it's the thing we're supposed to do or not, it's what feels right. And I'm fortunate that this whole experience wound up being really good for him. He did get to go away. He will go away when it's time to again. But the whole thing is about really digging deep into what feels right. He had to be still. He had to be quiet. He had to be alone. I asked him, just feel your way through this decision. And when you feel your way through and you follow through with what feels best or feels right or feels the least constricting, that's intuition. And I'm telling you, it really does all feel right. So that is what I wanted to tell everybody last night. But I completely forgot that it was Monday. So that's one lesson. Those of you who are tuning in for the first time, please let me know. If this is your first time, let me know how you have heard about me and what made you tune in tonight and where you're tuning in from. So I always love to see new people and give you all little shout outs. And those of you on Facebook, I am just reminding you that any conversation that you want to have with me, is best done on my YouTube live, which is Intuitive Medium Deborah Hanlon, and you can jump on there. So the reason why is that the font on my phone over there is too small and I can't read it, and I get a headache, and I'm not wearing my glasses. I always have my glasses here, but I'm not wearing them, and they're super dirty right now. So here's with the glasses. I'm not wearing that. And actually that doesn't really help much. So anyway, I digress. So that was my part, only a part of my week. I won't share the rest. But that was a part of my week. And the lesson for everyone is if you don't know what to do, if you're faced with a decision, you must go quiet, get still, and feel your way through it. And that was just a great opportunity that my son actually had to apply that methodology, if you will, to him. And he's enrolled in his classes. He's actually going to wind up being ahead by the time the fall semester comes up. It's cheaper, which is always helpful. So feel your way through. And yes, I saw Nicole wrote the word posturing. So I, in my Energy Transformation Awareness Part 1 class, do a lot of posturing. I also call it unconscious yoga. And I have the group get in touch with their feelings by posturing. Posture that. You'll hear me say posture that. And it becomes funny, but posturing is incredible information about anyone or anything. So if I said to someone, I'm trying to stay away from all the the landmines that could happen. Like if I said to someone, I was going to think about the president. We're not getting political one way or the other. I was thinking a president, not the president. And I almost said that. We're not thinking about that. What could I say that would be, think about your dad, right? Well, that could have issues too. But if I say posture how you feel about your dad, for those of you who are very close with your dad and your dad passed, that posture probably looks something like this, or sad, you're covering, you're sad. If you were not close with your dad and he's still living, it might be angry, it might be and contentious. So if I ask you to posture the feeling, make your body into the shape that you feel towards a person, a place where you want to live. If you want to move to North Carolina, posture it. What does it feel like to move to North Carolina? If you're doing something like this, yes, that's a good sign. If I say posture moving to North Carolina and you all of a sudden do ooh, That's not a good sign. So posturing is the second way to help you feel your way through anything about how you feel about another person, about a job, a relationship, a destination. I mean, absolutely anything in your world. It's going to give you immediate information, and it's super helpful. So that's a huge piece to the energy transformation awareness workshop, which is starting in March. So we already have, I think it's seven people signed up. So if you're interested in that, I just remind you, I do not let friends take it together or family members take it together. You must take this alone and not know anybody else in the group. Like, really know people. If you know somebody from the center and you like see them at the center, that's fine. But actually knowing somebody, I only allow people to take this as a single. We also have, I believe it's 3 men signed up. So 3, maybe even 4 men. I know 4 men reached out, and I'm pretty sure 3 of them signed up. So for those of you who are men out there that are interested in this, there's some guys in the class, which actually helps. It's fun. It's just a good class. So posture your way through, feel your way through your decisions, and it will help you very effortlessly and easily get out of your head, which our head tells us these other stories about everyone and everything, and it gets in our way. That logic always gets in our way. But our intuition, it's always gravitating towards the light, towards what's right, towards what's in our best interest. Like a flower that grows towards the light. That's what our intuition does. Our logic is like, oh, I don't know about this. Hold on, let's weigh our options, this and that. And intuition is very, very quick. So pay attention. Apply this. Apply this to anyone and anything. Apply it to flowers. How do you feel about lilacs? Posture it. How do you feel about roses? Posture it. How do you feel about your boss? Posture it. Your spouse, your home, your car that you drive, whatever it is, posture it. And it's super, super, super powerful. So let me see who I have. Hey, Patty, how are you? Let's see. Let's see. A couple new people here, and thank you, Sandy. I'm sorry. I just can't believe I totally was completely out of character. Not out of character. No. I often call myself Dory Fish. But yeah, let's see. Best wishes for Jack. Thank you, Diane. Patty, hello. Sharon's at bingo. She's popping in to say hi. Could you please shout bingo if you win? Could you just type in bingo real quick to all of us? Hello, Maria. Hey, Kieran. How are you? Kieran, you were on my mind this week. Why? Why? I was thinking about Iona. Oh, yeah. I know somebody who works at Iona, and I thought maybe I should connect Kieran with this person, or at least give them your name, or you give you her name, so in case you need somebody. So reach out to me to ask me for that name. That's why I thought about you. Why did he change schools? His school just did not have that whole like college feel. Everyone pretty much went home on the weekends. He was left there because he was playing basketball, and he was left all weekend. He was like, I was in my dorm playing Xbox. I really wasn't socializing. There's no place to go out. There was not much to do. It was in Riverdale. Not to say that there's nothing to do, but he'd have to take the train into the city, or there was no bars right around the corner that he knew of. So it was a huge learning experience. He got a lot out of it. And right now we're here. We're exactly where we need to be. Kelly asked me, something about suckers. Can I write a book for suckers? Explain that to me again. I like that. We're all suckers. We're all great, and we're all ridiculous. Marianne, welcome. I'm glad you've tuning in. Just let me know how you heard about this, Mare. Thank you, Kyle, Cindy. Yeah, I always feel like this time of year, everybody in New York State wants to move to North or South Carolina. Like, we're at this point where like, yeah, next year I'm doing it. That's it. I'm getting out of here. Although we've all been pretty lucky with the weather this year. Knock on wood. Nancy, do you have to be clothed for my energy class? Yeah, it's preferable. Unless you're Dr. Reed from Criminal Minds, he could totally show up in whatever he wants. But yeah, I'm pretty partial to clothing. Oh, very good, Pam. Pam took ETA. You're posturing. You like posturing your teenage years because those years were fun and those feel good. Hello, Carol. How are you? Okay, so let's get to questions. So before I go into everything, I will not take personal intuitive questions right now. Sometimes I throw them in the night. I'm probably not going to tonight. I did it a couple weeks ago. I'm just giving you a heads up in case you're like, oh, screw that. I have nothing to watch her for. I'm gonna give you that permission to leave then if you don't want to. But this isn't a forum for asking anything about energy, intuition, self-empowerment, mind over matter, making yourself better, anything energy, anything about the other side, connection, staying connected, more overall generalized information. So that's what the purpose of this is. I will discuss Kobe. So Devin, thank you for that. Why does it take tragedy to bring the masses together? Well, I don't know that it does, because think of all the basketball games that he had. And I know we're not just talking about Kobe itself, but people get together at basketball games and sporting events and all sorts of events and bars and restaurants. And people do have a sense of camaraderie and togetherness. I think in tragedy like that, like such a sudden, shocking death, in the collective consciousness, it reminds us all that we have no control over any of this. That's my opinion, is that's when somebody that we see, we admire, we heard about, someone big in the world, collectively, that brings energy and awareness just behind his name. And that just brings us all to our knees, like, holy crap, like that happens to Kobe, it could happen to me. It could happen to anybody. When my son walked into the room on Sunday, which I thought was Saturday, but anyway, he said, Mom, Kobe died. Now, Jack has a good friend named Kobe. And early Sunday morning, also in our community here, there was word that there was a terrible home invasion and 3 people were shot and killed. And that happened to be pretty close to our home, about a mile. And so I freaked, thinking Kobe, when he said Kobe, was Jack's friend Kobe. And I'm thinking that he was killed in this terrible event that happened in our community. So I'm like, oh my God, was he in the shooting? Oh my God, like I freaked. And he was like, no, Mom, he was in a helicopter. So then I was like, what the hell was Kobe doing in a helicopter? How did he get in a helicopter? And then he's like, Bryant, Kobe Bryant, Mom. And I'm like, okay, hold on, rewind. So it was so shocking, but I was so sick that it was our friend Kobe that I had to regroup for a minute and like, okay, oh my, and then I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. So tragedy can bind us, but I think it just brings us all to our knees in awareness. I really do. My kids asked, does that mean that those people, those 9 people had, they didn't use the word contract. I forget the word they used, but agreement that they would all go together. And on a soul level, I don't know that it always means that when people die in a group like that, something so tragic, I don't know that their souls contracted to be together, but I do know that each individual soul had a time and a date of death, and they all happened to be in the same time and space at the same time. So something in the universe will always work to make that happen. That's why when you hear fluke accidents and crazy things, or people perfectly healthy and then they slip in their kitchen and they pass away, even though they're completely healthy and didn't even hit their head. That time and date is, again, what we won't change. So I also believe those 9 people in that particular incident had the same time and date and happened to all be in the same place at the same time. So I also believe that if they were not all on the helicopter, I do believe that all 9 still would have passed, only in different places, in different situations and scenario. Maybe there would have been car accidents. Maybe 4 years prior, one of them would have had cancer. I mean, the trajectory it could be very, very different. But I'm so firm on that time and date thing where there's a time and a date. We can always change how we pass, but we can never change when we pass. That's a very good question. I'm glad you brought that up, Devin. Ay, ay, ay. Let's see. Okay, Melanie. If a person remarries after husband passed but loved both, what happens when they die as far as reconnecting with two energies? How are relationships on the other side portrayed versus human love relationships? That's fantastic. Because I like the way you phrased it, versus human love relationship. Human love relationship is very much external to internal. You're my person and we're together. And that's beautiful and that's wonderful. But it's huge attachment. We're attached, and I don't mean like we're attached to the person like we belong to them. I mean in the form of attachment in Buddhist terms. There's an attachment, there's a label that's my person, I'm their person. When so we're basically saying we're connected, but the actual truth is that we're connected to everyone, everywhere, all the time. So when someone passes and they've remarried, there's no great like huge debate on the other side, like, oh, well, I had him first and I was with him 12 years and I was with him 40, none of that stuff. That is so human. And that's 100% coming from the ego, our identity. We agreed we're together. So therefore here we're together. But on the other side, it's not so small like that. It doesn't just belong like limited like that. We belong to everybody. Nobody belongs to us and everyone belongs to us. And we belong to no one and we belong to everyone at the same time. So no, there's not going to be any arguments whatsoever when people get there. And some people get very, very upset when I say this because they're saying, well, I don't want my husband fooling around with anyone else on the other side. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't even happen either. So it's tricky terrain, but love is another facet of human control, to be completely honest. The Kobe stuff, just life, I'm constantly pondering everything. Our biggest problem is that we so much want to know an outcome. An outcome to our life, an outcome to a job offering, an outcome to our finances, an outcome. And as soon as we don't know or think we have control of an outcome, we all freak out. And the whole trick is to really lean in to just knowing that you don't have control. And trust me, as I say this, I'm not saying it like, hey guys, do what I do and just relax and chill. No, I'm right there with you. I do take extra steps as to any feeling I'm having. I'm always questioning it and always digging deeper. Like, what is this? Today, actually, I had that big feeling of, I just want to control an outcome. And I cannot. So as a human, that drives us crazy. It makes us fearful. It makes us sad. It makes us upset. It makes us all sorts of things. So just remember that too. The next time you're in a frenzy is like, what am I trying to control here? That goes into relationships. Are you trying to control the relationships to stay? If somebody else doesn't want the relationship anymore, but you do, are you trying to force an outcome that you don't have control of? You only have control of your piece of it. So when I was thinking this through, I can feel that then it comes down to how are we each behaving within our control issues, within our human issues. And today I was thinking to myself, like, I have control over my actions, my responses, everything in the past, the present, the future, and I feel good about them. And I have nothing to hide and nothing to be worried about. So from that vantage point, I live in the truth with a capital T, my truth. I'm not saying I live the truth. It's my truth. I know where I've been. I know what I stand for. I know what I want. And I don't waver on that. That felt good. So I had to keep dialing myself back into like, I have to just stand in my truth. I have no control over an outcome, but I'm going to stand in my truth and be able to speak and say and stand for that. So that says a lot. That's very empowering. If we make things very mucky and messy or we lie or we cheat or we bend things, that's harder. I think that's way harder because You have more to mentally manipulate. So that is a good question. I always go off topic here. Kelly wants me to write a book on how not to be a sucker for dummies. How not to be a sucker. Don't believe what people say. Watch their actions. Actions will tell you everything. You can say anything to anyone, but if you don't stand, your actions don't match those words, watch actions. Behavior tells everything. So we have to override our desire. We have to override our wish for someone or something to be exactly what we thought. But usually most things aren't exactly what we thought. We have to pay attention to that and then watch behavior. Behavior will tell you everything. Behavior does not lie. If someone is acting like they're truthful about finances, but their finances are a mess, their behavior is showing otherwise. So they might think they're being truthful and good and whatever, but everything's a mess. And I'm not talking about situations where externally, something tragic happened in the family and they went bankrupt. That's beyond their control. But look at your life. And if there's a part of your life that is messy, then you have to start looking into the deeper truths of self. That's a lot of what my ETA class does. Girl, actually, Miss Kelly, I think it's time. I think it is time you take that one. Okay, Christina, are you in North Carolina? So, because you said best decision ever, so that sounds amazing. Nancy, the posture you thought to be naked. Oh, you could do that naked if you want. Yeah, sure. I thought you meant to come to class naked. I was like, yeah, I'm not all for that, actually. No. Marianne used to listen and fly, and now you live in North Carolina. See, here's all in North Carolina. Thank you, Susan, very much. Oh, hello from Texas. Hello, Denise. How are you? Okay, maybe strange question. No such thing to me is a strange question. Strange question, weird question, dumb question. Everyone's asked every single question. There's very few things that you could ask me that haven't heard before or that I would think is dumb. Of course, now that I say that, like one of my own friends is going to ask something dumb. I know that, but I'm going to like that. So do spirits sleep? Nope, they don't sleep. They don't require it. And what happens to us living when we sleep? Do we go somewhere? Ooh, I like that. Spirits don't sleep. They don't need to. They don't have bodies that need to rest. So that's a human thing. When there's where do we go when we sleep? There's a lot of research on this. One school of thought believes that we do in fact leave our body and go to other dimensions. That sometimes is interpreted quite literally as if our energy leaves our body and goes to other dimensions. I'm not so much a literal interpreter of all of this energy stuff. I believe that we leave our body, meaning we leave our current identity and we can travel through other possibilities of ourselves. So it is like another dimension. It is like another portion or possibility for ourselves, but it's not like leaving and going physically somewhere, although there is a school of thought that believes that. I also see a lot with Carl Jung is big on that in our brain, it starts to process that inner stuff that I refer to it in ETA all the time, and now I can't think of it. Our internal dialogue, our conditioning, our core beliefs, those actually are able to come up in symbolic but very interpretable ways once you start studying yourself for information, to give you guidance, to give you insight on things. So I don't think we go to a location, although many times I just read something the other day that said that this person was sleeping and they literally got out of their body and watched themselves sleeping, and they weren't dying. There was nothing going on, but they actually saw that. So there's certainly stories of being able to hover over your body. And in that case, I mean, your consciousness leaves your body and hovers, not necessarily any other part of you leaves. Hope that answers that. And Kelly said, why would people leave if you don't do personal questions? That's rude. Bye, Felicia's. LOL. I know sometimes people just want to do that and leave, and that's fine. I figured I'd give everybody a little heads up. But maybe if you like find this enjoyable, then I love that you guys tune in. I really do. Sometimes I sit there and I'm like, Greg, am I so boring? I feel like I'm so boring. I even said that to Michelle yesterday or this morning. I was like, I'm so boring. I feel like I don't know if I have anything to offer. Sometimes I'm boring. My life, my real life is definitely not boring, that's for sure. Bonnie, thank you. How's the puppy? Baker. It is Baker. I love him. I thought about bringing him down, and then I was just too afraid he was going to pee on the carpet because we're still working on that. This puppy has transformed my life. So I just love him. I can't even have a normal voice when I talk to him. I talk like this when I love you and I love this baby and I love him. I can't explain it. Something happened to me. I'm now even loving to see all of you with your dogs, which before I was like, oh, that's nice. Like, nice. Now I'm like, oh my God, look at this one. One of my son's friend on the basketball team's mom's like, I just got a puppy yesterday. I'm like, oh my God, let me see the pictures. I'm like, who am I? And I even admitted to her, I'm like, I was never a dog person. Like, I was kind of grossed out by licky, smelly dogs. And Baker has 100% like blasted my heart open. It's bizarre. So yeah, now I'm like in like a puppy mommy club. I don't know. We're showing each other pictures of our dogs. Like something's happening, but I'm just going to go with it. I'm just going with it. Kieran, yes, I did love that video. I totally did. Very powerful. Hello, Melissa. Good to see you on here. I haven't seen you in a while. Let's see. Cindy, I've been practicing self-awareness and grounding and meditation for about a year, and lately I'm finding it harder to focus on it. What could cause that? And is a common thing. Totally common. 100% common. You might want to just change your routine up a little bit. You might have gotten so like it became rote that you're really not thinking about not thinking. So I would suggest changing either where you're meditating, the time that you're meditating, or how you're meditating. Just try a different technique. I'm always very big into creating roots and sprouting our energy, sending our energy down into the center of the earth and then all the way up out of our into the universe. So I'm big into any guided meditations like that. It's also possible that unconsciously this could be a time of year where you experienced a trauma or tragedy in the past, and unconsciously our body, just by the way the sun hits the earth at an angle, the smells in the air, these things trigger our old stuff, our old trauma. So also take a look if it's really, really distracting and you're really, really out of focus, or if anyone on here is really just out of sorts for no quote reason or present reason, and you just can't shake it. It could be that it's a unconscious memory of a previous trauma. It's very common. I have a family member, my brother, who same time around the year that my brother who passed, every time he was diagnosed, my family would say that, oh my gosh, like my brother that lived goes through an unconscious re-traumatization of the whole event. And it's very unconscious. He's not aware of it. And it's usually like as the leaves are coming off the trees and the change of seasons happening, because that's when my brother was diagnosed and everything started. So this is very real. It's a very, very real thing to pay attention to. I'm not saying that all of your issues are because of that, but it is something to just kind of sit down and look into, like, is there something around this time of year that gets triggered for you, which is common. Okay. Oh, fantastic. Puppy Baker's doing fine. He just did something on the floor, because his father's upstairs playing video games. Well, tell his daddy to go take him out, and then he can take him down here after he's gone to the bathroom. Oh my God, Maria, that is hilarious. Maybe Baker forgot it was time to go outside. Seems to run in the family this time thing. 100%. Thank you, Maria. Oh, my goodness, my goodness, my goodness. Okay, Susan. When your intuition tells you what you want to hear, yet you are afraid to trust it because it is what you want, can you change the outcome because you work against it? Let me just read that again because I like that. when your intuition tells you what you want to hear, yet you are afraid to trust it because it's what you want, can you change the outcome because you work against it? I'm trying to like feel my way through that. If you're no. If you're trusting it, no. If you're not trusting it, yes, absolutely. So when like I had intuition to not move to a certain place and I went against it, it totally backfired. So if yes, we can be afraid to trust it, but we're kind of like it's kind of like that leap and the parachute will appear. So just jump. And you might want to look at the non-trusting of it. What's behind that? What is behind it? Are you afraid to get your hopes up? Which is usually the case for people, is that people have a gut, they're moving forward, but they're so afraid because, well, it didn't work out in the past for me, so I don't want to get my hopes up. That's all mental stuff. And that's very much less intuitive. Intuitive is not necessarily loud, but it just feels right. Sometimes we don't trust it because the timing is off and we can't force timing. So we have to feel our way through that. You can even ask, okay, when is this change best for me? And, you might think you're going to answer right now. That change is best right now for me. But if you feel your way through it, you might hear like, no, about 9 months. So play with it a little bit more, go deeper into it, but feel your way through. Part of the not trusting then becomes a mind game. Does that make sense? You can let me know if it does. Carolyn, don't know if this was asked, but do you think Kobe and his daughter passed together? Not at the same time, but entering afterlife together? Absolutely, for sure. And both knew that both had passed instantly, as well as the other 9 people on the planet or on the helicopter, as well as anyone else who also passed at that time on the planet. They all became aware of each other's passing, not because Kobe's famous, but because of the energy known as Kobe and Gigi and all the other 7 people, is they're known energetically by the unknown, the people we don't know. When we cross over, we're still going to get reunited with them and know exactly who they were and what they did and what their meaning was and their purpose and all of that. So this consciousness stuff and connection stuff is so much bigger than what humans think. We think everything is very linear. I'm this person, you're that person, but I am this person and that person. You are you and you are me. So it is such a, that's why it drives me crazy when people say, oh, they so-and-so didn't know they had passed. Like, how do you not know that you are all of a sudden universal, perfect, amazing, pristine energy and you're no longer trapped inside a body? I posted something on Instagram yesterday about that, is that when we pass, we're liberated. I wish death was called liberation. I really do, because it's a liberation of our energy, our consciousness into everything. That feels great. Nobody's like, nah, I like to be limited and, have all these bills to pay and like totally live small and be like totally tight. Nobody does that. No one says that. So instead of saying the word death, liberated is a really great word because that describes it much more specifically, in my opinion. So yeah, Christina, yes, your consciousness can go to another dimension during sleep, but dimension could also be the dimensions within yourself. We have a dimension that we're aware of right now, but as I'm talking and you're listening, there's another dimension of our own consciousness going on with our bodily functions, our breathing, our digestion, our circulation. So there's a dimension of awareness going on in our cells. There's a dimension of awareness going on in the back of our minds, our brains, making connections and associations that we're not aware of. So there's also many dimensions within oneself. So that's why I don't really like the word dimensions, because people think, and maybe people don't think this, I always think sci-fi and there's other dimensions and we really don't know what the hell that means. Or you might think it's sci-fi, other dimensions, it means other planets. It doesn't necessarily mean that. It means different levels of awareness or consciousness. And just to be specific, levels, there's no such thing as hierarchy in the world of energy. So there's no less energy and good energy. It's levels like this. They're all equal. So I want to say they're like parallel versus levels hierarchy. Deja vu. Yes, Danielle. Hello. Can you talk about deja vu? I get it all the time, and when it happens, I'm not sure what to do when it happens. Acknowledge it. Try to remember how when I saw it before. I love deja vu. I haven't really had that in a while. I used to have it all the time as a kid. So deja vu is kind of like a glimpse into, like we were just talking about, those dimensions that are coming. And it's a glimpse into that connection that I was talking about when we cross over. It's like we are all of time and past, present, and future. Deja vu is some reason. I don't know why it happens, but it's like the window was lifted, or we got to like see real quick what was happening, and then the curtain closed. And we don't really remember it until the event happens. And we're like, wait, I know what's going to happen next. So-and-so is going to drop all their M&Ms on the floor. And then it happens. And you're like sitting there freaking out. And usually this is a very personal experience. We're not outwardly saying all of it. So then the person walks in and drops all their M&Ms. And you're like, oh my God, freaking knew it. I knew it was going to happen. So why does it happen? I don't know. It is kind of a look into or an awareness of another point in time for whatever reason. I don't necessarily think that point of time is a more important point of time than any other. So I don't think that. So what do you do when it happens is really like lean into it and then do try to practice. Like, what was going to happen next? And oh my God, how do I feel about this? Just to play with it, really. I mean, I don't think there's much more. Although sometimes if it's deja vu and you're like, oh my God, I was here and I saw someone, getting hit by a car, maybe you're being shown that so that you can intercept, and then you will. If you can intercept something, then you will be called to do that. If you can't intercept it, you won't even be able to try to intercept it. That's a good question. Sandy, you saw the video on the lemon trick. Has it ever had an opposite effect? Does it take time to work? Could take time to work, although you have to start thinking like right away that this is in process. So start thinking that way. And the workings of life are so annoying, to be honest. Like, trust me. But when we plant a seed, say I had this tiny little seed in my hand and it was for a rose bush. And I planted the seed, I put it in soil, I covered it up, I put water on it, and I put it in the window to get sun. By the end of this broadcast, I would not go check it and expect that there was a big bush there. There's no way. So we have to remember that every intention, everything we set out is like planting a seed, and it takes time. Some are quick and some are not. But it doesn't mean it's not working. It just means like, okay, it's still growing, it's still percolating, it's still moving. We as humans tend to be super impatient, and we all want it now. We all want to see the results. Every single one of us. There's not one of you that's like, no, really, I'm totally fine with not knowing anything. We're not. So just think of that analogy the next time you set any intention, including with the lemon trick. Just know that the seed has been planted. Your intention is out there. And every day you keep reminding yourself, yes, the seed is planted. Yes, this is working. Yes, this is in motion. And instead of going, oh my God, it's not working. Why isn't it working? Some will be very, very fast. I think I shared that mine took 2 days. One of mine took 2 days. And there's others of mine that are taking way too long. So apparently I planted I don't know what grows really, really slowly. I don't know. I planted a baby. It grows really slowly. It's taking 9 months to come out of the womb. No, it's taking a long time. So trust me, I get it. Has it ever had an opposite effect? I can't say that I've had that experience. I'm trying to think. I can't say that I've had that experience. So I'll just end it there. I can't say that I have. Maybe other people have. And either people haven't told me that they have because they feel like they did something wrong, But keep setting the attention and keep planting the reality of like, it is planted, it is growing, it is percolating, it is coming, it is going to bloom, that sort of thing. Okay. I'm living my life with the law of attraction constantly in mind. I was wondering what your feelings are about it. How far do you think you can really take it? I love the law of attraction and I hate the law of attraction. And here's why. I hate the concept of it. Because there's two ways to maneuver our way through the law of attraction. One is through thinking and the other is through feeling. Feeling has a stronger magnetic pull or energy into the world. So when we feel something and able to like kind of like let it go, like we could feel, okay, I want this car, and we let it go. We're kind of sending this telegram out into the universe and we can detach from it. That's the law of attraction coming to you. Other times there is a method of constantly repeating positive mantras, only refixing your attention towards the good, kind of what I just told Sandy. Both work. But there's an unconscious dialogue going on inside of all of us that until we know what that is, the law of attraction is not going to work because there's something else underneath that. There's usually a core belief behind it. So let me give an example. If you grew up very poor and you believe that nothing is easy, nothing comes easy, right? If that's a core belief, and then all of a sudden you decide like, hey, I'm going to do this law of attraction, and you're going to say, I'm a millionaire. The real thing that's running the show is nothing's easy. So that's going to cause a block within you, and it's an unconscious block. So you don't even know what you're doing, quote unquote, wrong. That's why I don't like the law of attraction, because it stays very much, or it's taught very much to stay on only the mental level. But to me, the entire body is holding patterns. It's holding information. It's holding the creation itself. So you need to change the body and the body language. How do you do that? You've got to work on what I call dredging and pulling up your old core beliefs, because your core beliefs are running the show, whether you think it is or not. What was always true for you in the past does not mean that has to be true in the future. But as humans, we're like computers, and we have a program that began from 0 to 9 years old, and we just keep replaying that program until we upgrade it. That's the way it goes, which hugely impacts the law of attraction. And then as we start seeing success after success with the law of attraction, then our conditioning starts to grow and move with our beliefs, and our core beliefs about ourselves begin to change. So keep it on, it's both levels, mental and physical. Really digging deep into your core beliefs. I'm telling you, this is totally, Nancy, you would be good timing for this too. This is totally what ETA 1 is about, energy transformation awareness. And I talk about it all the time, and people might say, like, stop pushing it. I'm totally pushing it, but not really at the same time. But I swear by this program. I love teaching it. I love working with it. I love watching the special groups. A lot of you are on here tonight. Have created bonds with complete strangers that you cannot explain elsewhere. I've seen major leaps forward, whether it's actual physical successes that people have made changes, or just internal, like, I just feel so much better, or I feel free. Does it answer the world's problems? No, it doesn't. But will it help you like really wake up to your path and like what you need to work on? Absolutely, 100%. 30 hours of time with me, 30 hours. And I prep at least 30 hours beforehand. I study your energy field. I have forms for you to fill out. I ask very detailed, specific questions for a reason. I do so much energetic prep on this whole class. So I love it, because I think my best skill is actually not mediumship. I think my best skill is to see things in people that they can't see within themselves, and I can bring that up and out, and then we can look at it and play with it. And I say, like, we can delete or accept it. We can say, yeah, this works for me. We're going to keep it, or no, it doesn't. So I think my skill with reading the living in a situation like ETA That is my thing. So I'm sure my ETA people will weigh in on all of this. It's super emotional though. It's super, super, super intense. It's not easy. It's not a cakewalk. So let's see. Okay. Deborah, what happens if when we die, we go to heaven to look for our loved ones, but they're reincarnated? They are still also on the other side. So there's always, I always explain this, and this is like one of the worst explanations, but it's the most simplest, and it was told to me like 25 years ago. That's why I always resort to it, but it's the worst. But I'm going to give it to you anyway. I asked the exact same question to a medium, and she said, we have two parts to our soul. There's a part that stays on the other side, and one part decides to incarnate. And then when that part is time to die, they go back up, and the other part of the soul comes back in. So that's one way that kind of suffices, but it is the most simplest explanation possible. And it's not 100% foolproof, but it is the best way I can explain it. But we actually have many versions of our soul, because our soul is the universe. This is where it gets all confusing. So we're on this side and the other side at the same time. We are our Abraham Lincoln selves and our current selves and our future selves all at the same time. This is in regards to physics. This is not like pie in the sky weird stuff. This is what quantum physics is just going crazy over all the time. Every day new things are getting developed. So the explanation I was given 25 years ago helps, but it's not 100% accurate. That's going back to like many dimensions. There's many lifetimes, and it gives me a headache actually to even like discuss it in further, because it's hard to explain. Okay. Dina, you went to a class run by me last night in your dream. I took it as I still have something to learn from you. Oh, that's nice. I think from me, you're saying, I was going to say, we always have something to learn, but yeah. And by the way, I had this thought today that I love teaching. I love teaching because I literally like feel like I actually can live when I know that I see the light bulbs go off in people and people start to live more authentically. They start to just make tiny little dumb changes within themselves, and life becomes a little more quiet, a lot more simple. I love that. I live for that. I have no other like passion or joy anymore but that. But today I was thinking like, God, as much as I love to teach, I have to remind myself every day, I learn from all of you. I learn from every single session I sit with someone. I learn from every workshop, every interaction I have with people. I'm constantly paying attention. I'm learning so much from people. So it's always mutual. It's not like you're learning from me. We're learning mutually. It's back and forth. It's give and take. It's ebb and flow. So thank you for that. Okay, let's see. Jillian, are we really not meant to be, I guess, around certain people, vibrations? You recognize how negative you can be and might want to change it, but after a certain point, you literally think no more. Oh, definitely. I'm sure we all have this person or people in our lives that we've tried and we've tried and we've tried and we've tried. And it's something that's just not jiving or clicking, and yeah, and we have to make the decision for our own sake to be able to say no more. The trick is, and this is what a lot of people do, is we often feel the need to justify our reason why we can't take an energy. And in our justifications, we start judging or making comments of separation instead of just saying, I cannot be with that person. Not, well, they're bad and they do this, that's why. Or, well, they did that and they did it. No, it doesn't need to be that. It doesn't have to do anything with them. All I know is my energy field cannot stand being around so and so or in such and such place. When you can do that, you really do free yourself much more from their energy, because otherwise the story keeps going. Every time you talk about them or they come up, it's still like, oh my God, did you know what he did? Do you know what she did? And it's constant and it's draining. So the toxicity doesn't really leave you, even if the person's presence left you. And I recently had a intuitive question, and the person had said there were some changes made at work, and the toxic people were let go, or they left. I don't know which one it was. And she was hopeful that those people who left would change the dynamic in the office. And my response to her was, yes, if those people were in fact toxic and not good to the environment, then yes. But now everyone who's still in that environment, it's your job to not talk about it anymore. Don't give it any more energy. You can't say like, well, it's better than it was 4 weeks ago with so-and-so, or remember when so-and-so did this, or I can't find that file. Well, you know what happened to that. That's just inviting that toxicity right back in. So we have to be very mindful, and we all do it. I'm guilty of this, where I have caught myself talking about a particular human way too much. And I'm like, ugh, I don't want the energy on my tongue anymore. I don't want it on my brain. I don't want it in my environment. And I have slowed down my discussion about that person because it was like, oh my God, go with God, but go. I don't need to even discuss that. I need to justify myself. I don't need to validate myself. I just know that I'm doing this. This feels right for me. And maybe I'm wrong about that in their eyes, but it is truly what's right for me. But just don't keep bringing it back up. Don't talk about it to friends, to family members, to coworkers. Don't, just be mindful, because otherwise it doesn't matter. You're bringing that energy to you. So that's super important. And great question. Oh my God. Ugh, that's terrible, Melanie. My dog is failing. The discussion of euthanizing is on the table. I feel like a murderer on one hand and preventing suffering on the other. Ugh. Is it wrong to choose that for a pet? It's totally not wrong, because you're really not choosing it. Pets, everything in nature has their time and date stamp. And we often think, this is with humans, I hear it every reading where people said, oh my God, I had to decide to pull the plug on a family member. And it's a terrible place to be in, but we are not God. So, or the universe, higher energy, power, whatever you want to call it. We are not that. So while it appears that we're like, well, we're making the decision too, there's something bigger at stake. And perhaps you had to take them off or euthanize them in that moment because that's the moment they're supposed to pass. So we have to remember that we don't have that much control over when someone's going to die. We have control over our reverence towards a person before they pass. That we have control over, but we do not have truly the power to truly decide when someone or something is going to pass. So it's totally not wrong. It's a terrible place to be in. And whether it's for a pet or a human, it's terrible. It eats us alive, because I call it the woulda, coulda, shouldas. If maybe mom would have survived if I didn't take her off, or maybe something would have, maybe I should have kept her on for 3 more months. I mean, it's torture. But just remember, we are not God. We are not the universe. We are a reflection and a smaller piece of something so brilliant and whole. And we always have access to that collective consciousness, God. We have connection to it. But when it comes to someone or something passing, we do not have that control at all. Oh my goodness. Oh, hey, Marnie, I see that you're here. You could always, by the way, everyone, you could, if you missed a part, because she said she missed the first half hour, you could always, they're all stored on my YouTube channel. So you can go back through all of them. And if anyone does that, I want to know that you did. I'm going to give you a test. I'm going to be like, in episode 7, what did I say? Okay, is there a reckoning, Tiffany? Is there a reckon? Oh, how come I can't add you to my broadcast? Is there a reckoning in spirit world for those who have harmed us? Does anything get solved then, or do we have to fix it all on this plane? Great question. There is a reckoning. There is a balance or an equalization of energy. The reckoning comes in what I call, right after we pass, I call it the great download. And we get this download and we see all of our acts that we have done from the moment we passed in reverse all the way back to the moment we're conceived. And we start reliving each moment as if they're miniature movies. And any good act, indeed, we've done to someone, we feel that on the vantage point of the person that we gave to that act. And then we feel the ripple effect. So if we paid it forward to someone on the Dunkin' Donut line, then we're going to feel the ripple effect of that person. Like maybe they paid it forward and then maybe they did. So we feel the good act we did with right intention, and then the ripple effect it caused on the person we gave to, which is also similar for the opposite. If there was something negative we did with intention, we will feel what we've done to that person and the ripple effect that it had on that person. So yes, that's the reckoning. And the solving is a human concept. The fixing is a human concept because there's no such thing. It's everything is, period. Things are what they are. And that kind of goes back to what I was saying in the beginning. Like, that's what we hate. We all hate that. Like, we don't want it to be like that. Nobody wants like these horrible things happening in all our lives and these stresses and stuff. Nobody wants that. And nobody caused it either. Like, nobody literally caused all this crap and bullshit. It's just what happens in life. We have to remember that this is life. The Buddha said life is suffering. That is what it is. It's suffering with good moments in there too. And when I think of that, when I first heard that, like I was about 12 when I was reading about Buddhism, and I remember thinking that guy Buddha's an idiot because I was 12. Because I thought I knew everything. And I was like, what the heck is he talking about? Life is suffering. How miserable is that guy? Why is he saying that? Like, if you think it's suffering, it's already going to be suffering, And that's the take I took from it. Like, you shouldn't say that because then you're just going to create that. But what he meant, I mean, fast forward how many decades later, is no, life is full of suffering. Life has a bunch of bullshit in it. For every single one of you tuning in and listening, and myself, we have all been dealt some stupid shit in our life. Stuff we caused, stuff we didn't cause, stuff that broadsided us, stuff that took a long time. I mean, like all sorts of stuff. And that's what life is. It's not easy. It is a struggle. And the liberation of self, death, is going, okay, like I'm liberated from all of this attachment to the physical plane, the worldly plane. We get freed and liberated from all that suffering. So that's what we're here for. We're here and we have the opportunity to go, okay, I got it. Some shit's going to happen that I have no control over, like Vanessa Bryant. My God, everyone else would say that woman's got it all. And she did. Or maybe she had the illusion that she did. I don't know anything about her. I don't know her past. I know they were together since they're very young. They have 4 children. But here's somebody, they have fame, they have wealth, they have health, they have 4 beautiful daughters, they have homes, money, resources. And did that matter? It didn't matter. She still got dealt a really shitty hand right now. So life is suffering. And I think we all do need to come to that awareness and detach from it and go, okay, I got it. Like there's going to be some shitty times. And the best way to meander through it or follow through it is like, what do we know for sure in here about ourselves? And how are we choosing to move forward with it? Because it is suffering and there's going to be stuff that happens. So does that help? But going back to before when I was talking about my son and he saying he went to college and the reason why he didn't say how really upset he was about going back is he didn't want to disappoint me or his dad. And that made me feel so sick because choosing your own happiness is never disappointment. And I had the conversation with him that things that will disappoint me are how you treat others. If you treat others like crap, that'll disappoint me. If you lie, that's going to disappoint me. If you cheat, if you steal, if you waste and gamble your money away, those are things that are going to disappoint me. That is where disappointment definitely will come. Am I going to love you still? Most likely, yeah. But there's very little that we can do that's going to disappoint me. taking an action and feeling your way through and creating your own life is never going to disappoint me. It's a learning curve, and we're going to get some of it right and we're going to get some not right. So living with that self of learning how to have this internal locus of control of who you are and living the very best who you are that you can, not with the whole I'm doing this right thing. It's I'm doing this right for me. I'm trying to feel good and do the right thing for me. And if other people have issues with that, welcome and open a conversation. But that's it. That's all we have control over, our own self. Let's see. Yes, Susan, you need to let go. Maria, you guys talking back and forth, so I like that. Call me by my true names. I have to look that up from TikTok. Let's see. Would you say different levels of density of energies? Yes. Yes. There are different levels of density of energy. So we are in the humans are in one of the most dense forms of energy. Anything with matter, solid matter, is in a dense form. That's why people always talk about, oh, there's evil on the other side, which makes me crazy because let's talk science. We are this energy housed in these physical bodies that took on our identity, which is physical. We can see and feel and touch it, and we're dense. Like I can't put my hand through my hand. We're dense. And because of density, because of gravity, that pulls the energy around us, each individual energy field, and skews the gravity around ourselves, which can cause more negativity or dense experiences to us in physical form. And then add the mental density. If we've had terrible traumas as a young child and we grew up with trauma, or we didn't get nurtured, or we didn't get things, our mental ability and capacity based on our nurturing and our upbringing, nurture and nature, can be very dense or very, very light. So that dictates and creates evil in dense form. But when we leave this body, we are literally light. We do not take any density with us. None of it. The body dies. The density dies. That's why I always say there's no negativity on the other side, because it's physically impossible to have a negative identity, energy on that side, because negative energy is dense. But if we're light, there's no density in light. It's light. It's complete opposite of density. In other words, imagine that there is a beam of white light just going right in front of you across, like one big line of white light around you. And you take a penny and you drop it onto the white line of white light. It's going to go right through. It's not going to catch that penny and hold the penny. The penny is dense. It's material. So it can't. It physically cannot hold negativity. So if you hear someone that talks about negative entities and there's negative all this stuff, it's not that. There's other reasons for that. It is a mental negative construct that you are holding on to, which people like to say, oh, there's an entity. It's yourself. I promise you, it's yourself. This is what I really love to talk to people about, because it's empowering to go, oh, okay, so it's my shit thinking. It's my fear. It's my conditioning. Yep. Because why do I like that? Because you can change that. You're the only one who can change that. But if you've got some horrible, negative, evil energy like latched onto your shoulder, nothing you can do about that. I mean, people say, oh, you can call a priest and they'll exorcise you, or, call a shaman. A shaman will take you through your belief system. So hear me on this, people, please, please, please. And if you think you have a negative entity or have been told so, please email me, please, because I will set it straight, or take my ETA, because I'll specifically show you, oh, this is what happened. It was roughly around fourth grade, and this is the core belief you developed around it, and this is how it's manifested over here. How do you want to handle it? Do you want to keep that thought process going and that conditioning going, or are you ready to put it to rest and put it behind you? That's my favorite. Can your intuition be for another person? Something they want but can't see, yet you can. Nope, you can't. You can't have an intention. Well, no, you can have an intention, of course, and you can lift, but every bit of work is up to each individual. So your intention might be better spent on, your intention is that they see their own intention, what that is, but we have no control over someone else's outcome. Support, yes. We can offer everything we want, but we can't want something for someone. Everybody has to want for themselves. That's a good question. Let's see. Oh, Nancy, that's amazing. I suffered a stroke last year. My old personality died and I'm a total new energy. Absolutely. Happens all the time. And I always say that we have many deaths and we're supposed to have many deaths of old identities. Who I am today at 43 is not consciously who I was at 8 or 12 or 23, thank God, or 41 for that matter. We should be shedding and changing our identities. We should not be the same person we were 3 years ago. Nobody should, even the best of circumstances. We should be constantly evolving and changing and revisiting our old personalities. So we're going through a death all the time. When people say they feel stuck, it's because they're stuck on a construct and a perception of who they either are or should be. That's what stuck is. So there's a lot of ways around that too, a lot. Susan is saying, take ETA1, you'll not regret it, and you'll make connections for life. Absolutely. Let's see. Do ETA 1B as an extension to ETA 1. I have them separate for a lot of reasons, 1 and 2 for sure, but that part 2, or what you're calling is 1B, is life-changing as well, because it starts to see how we're all the wonderful people and we're all not, and that's fine. And every time we spew words of negativity about someone else, it's a projection of our own stuff, and how to really meander all that is powerful. Let's see. So as we learn lessons we need here, does our soul change out to another part of our soul? Evolves. Yeah, I know what you're saying with change out, but change out has a different connotation. This is where also words limit us, because words carry different meaning for other people. So I think I know what you're talking about. As we learn lessons here, does our soul change out? It evolves. It's like upgrade. It's like a update on our software. Our software's updated. We're like, oh, now we're operating more clearly, but there's going to be another glitch down the road, so we've got to update again. It's kind of like Deborah. I'm in Deborah version 43.9. So that's interesting. Wait, we're almost February, March, April. I was going to say, oh my God, I'm almost 9 months. But that's what it is. I'm in that version, and I should be upgrading all the time. Oh, thank you, Carolyn. Let's see. Marnie, you should definitely take the ETA class. I highly recommend anyone taking ETA who hasn't been to my meditation classes to come to at least 1 or 2 meditation classes, just to see my style. You kind of get a sense of my style here, but I actually kind of dial it back a little bit, even on here. But in person, my hair's annoying me. In person, I don't know. I'm in rare form. So come to a meditation class. I don't think I have many coming up right now. Let me see. One moment, please. Let's see. February 9th is the next one, but I might actually add one to February 2nd. So stay tuned. But February 9th, Sunday night, 7 p.m., you just show up. It's $10. You don't register. It's the only class I have that you don't register and you just show up, because that's just the way it goes. So Come early. Okay, so if we're all energy, why does our energy not mix with everyone's energy? Because we're not all the same vibrational pattern. We're not all the same speed, which doesn't mean someone who's very fast is better and someone slow is not. There's no hierarchy. So the good, bad, it's just it doesn't match. It's like oil and vinegar. Our densities don't mix. It's just not a good thing. It can also be a lot of times first, it's more of the mental you make a rash judgment on someone and you instantly say like, oh yeah, I didn't like that person. I did not like that person. And then you find out later, you're like, oh my God, I was such an idiot. I love this person. So sometimes it's our own mental stuff. So I would say first, with the not getting along with other people's energies, to give yourself like a step back and be like, okay, what is really bothering me about this human? um and be honest with yourself. Are you jealous? Are you feeling insecure? Are they more successful? Are you afraid they're not going to like you? Even though we're adults, we still all go through these same feelings. Are we feeling subpar? um who knows? But as we move through that, and the more we either try or we try to like get things settled, the energy doesn't match. I also do think that within families, if the family is not moving and growing and dynamic and evolving, then all of a sudden one person is moving and evolving and changing, and the other person in their eyes is not. They don't want to get sucked back to the old energy. I was going to take it personally, but I'm not going to tonight. I'm just going to keep it clean. So, like, I don't want to get sucked back into old energy and old belief system and old things that didn't feel good, but they were just normal to me before. I've upgraded them. It doesn't even mean those person or people are wrong. It just means like, yeah, I don't really like that anymore. It's kind of like when you're a teenager and all your friends are drinking and smoking and you think that's really fun. And then you're in your like 20s, you get a job and you're like, oh, I got to get to work tomorrow. So I'm not going to drink and smoke, but they're still drinking and smoking. And then you keep going to work and then you're like, oh, but I got this. Now I have a kid. And you start to realize like, okay, that energy is not working for me anymore. I've kind of grown out of it. It doesn't feel as fun. It doesn't feel good anymore. That's what energy is. So it's just an awareness, but we have to be conscious not to say that like, oh yeah, no, they're horrible. And I say that all the time. I mean, then I catch myself and I'm like, okay, no, Deb, I'm just in a different space now. That's what I have to tell myself. Fucking 9 times a day. But anyway, let's see. Let's see. Oh, Maria, that is the worst feeling. And exactly what Melanie said goes. And Marnie. Melanie, I think you're also on this ETA list here for sure. Maria said, sometimes I feel the enormity of all this stuff. It exhausts me. Try living in this brain for 5 minutes because it never leaves me. No, that's not true. I think Baker, because I was talking to my dad who loves dogs, which is the original reason why I didn't like dogs, because he had them and they were smelly. And I was talking, I said, I don't know, Dad, what's wrong with me? Like, I'm out in the yard, I'm throwing them balls, I'm so excited that Bailey and Baker are getting together and playful and happy. I'm like, oh my God. And he said, what are you thinking about when you're out there? And I'm like, nothing. I'm thinking about how cute it is. They're running after the ball together. And then the puppy pounces on Bailey. And he goes, exactly. And I was like, oh my God, Baker actually provided a way for me to be mindless and just be in joy and love. And I needed that for sure. So it is exhausting though. Oh my goodness, sorry. I think the word exhausting just made me unconsciously yawn. Okay, let's see. Yes, Marnie, you have pretty good skills for others. When it comes to myself, you get no insight because I think it's clouded by my own feelings. You could take the word I think it's, and it's definitely clouded by your own feelings. And it's actually more accurate that it's clouded by your thinking and your past thinking self. And you want or really don't want XYZ. How do you cut through that? Awareness, real intense awareness. Um, what our minds are going haywire. I have that bracelet that I sell, and it says our brain is an asshole, think better thoughts, and our brain is conditioned, and we don't even know what we're conditioned about until we start bringing awareness to the fact that, oh wow, I always thought such and such was the truth, but it was my truth. For example, when Greg and I first moved in together, I remember he all of a sudden, maybe we didn't even move in together. It was just maybe together. And his daughter needed new windshield wipers. And he said, oh, yeah, I got to get to the store and I got to put Sam's wipers on her car. And that to me, I literally was like, what? You mean that's what dads do? Like, what? What? Someone else takes care of your car for you, and that person's your dad. And if my dad's watching this, he'll probably be horrified. But my dad lived across the country, and we're good now. Everything's good. But he wasn't there. He wasn't around. So I just thought dads were not around. That was my truth. So that's what I knew. I lived that out. And it really hit me like, oh my God, like dad's like, and this isn't sad. I'm not being sad. So don't anyone feel sad for me. It's all part of my journey here. And many of you probably relate, or mom, or whoever it is. But it was like, oh my God, like I literally just had a belief that dads move across the country and that's what happens. It never dawned on me that dads live with you and drive you to school and take you to practices and do all that stuff. I had no concept of that whatsoever until I saw that. And then I pay attention a lot more. So a lot of times we don't know what our conditioning is because it just was what it was. That was normal to us until we are met with, that doesn't have to be normal. That doesn't have to be considered normal anymore. You can change your norm. And it's just by shedding and becoming aware of what your norm was and then shedding it or deciding to shed it. So that is all ETA stuff, Marnie, all ETA. The classes, Nancy, they're on weekends and it starts, oh God, I think it's March 20th. They start the weekend of March 20th. It's Friday night, 21st and 22nd. And then it's every other weekend for 3 weeks. So you have to commit to all of them. So you can't just take one class or you can't miss any of them. You have to be present for all of them. Yes, Eileen, your lemon is in the freezer. Yes, I did finally take care of your lemon and put it in the freezer. So yes. Oh my God, Sue, that is good. That is an intense class. I love it, love it, love it. I love to see who winds up coming together for the class because there's always a theme. There's like a group theme that's so powerful. Samantha said, I have vivid memories of hearing voices and seeing light after my aunt died. I was 5 when I found her passed in our bathroom. Could this have been my imagination? No way. No way. 5 years old, we're very plugged in. Probably about 7, 8, we're really plugged in. We start to kind of lose our belief or trust in our intuition around 3, but it's still there very much till 7. And then it kind of goes dormant for a while. So that was 100% not your imagination. Everything intuitive and especially mediumship, and in my mediumship class, I teach this, feels like you're using your imagination, which is why I tell my students, use your imagination. Pretend there's an energy sitting across from you. What do they feel like? And that's where we start. Are they tall? Are they short? Are they heavy? Are they not? Are they male? Are they female? Are they loud? Are they quiet? Are they angry? Are they gentle? Are they religious? Are they big cursors? What are they wearing? What do you think your hair looks like? Ask yourself all these, just use your imagination, because the imagination absolutely all of a sudden dips into your intuition and it takes you right there. So that is truly the shortcut to all of it. So it was 100% not your imagination, but it does feel like it. Let's see. Is there a polarity with energy? Yes, the polarity is density and not density, light and dark, physical and non-physical. So that is the polarity. Yep. Okay. Okay, so with such horrible things going on in the world and tragic things you've heard through readings, how do you or someone focus on the good and not dwell on the scary, tragic things that could happen? Because there's so many possibilities that could happen, good or bad, that I mean, I would paralyze myself if I harped on it. And our society, media driven, is very much plugged in on the negativity that could happen. This coronavirus, like, stop. If anyone's freaking the fuck out about it, shut off your TV. Stop. You don't need to be overeducated about the coronavirus. And I'm not saying that it's not serious. I'm not diminishing people who have had it and are terrible, but it's enough already. I mean, at that point, we need to be afraid of splinters. We need to be afraid of mismatched socks. I mean, we can all go crazy. So, what readings do are always bring me back to the present of like, wow, Deb, the next time you complain, remember so and so has this, or remember, and it doesn't diminish my own grief, but it does help me put it in perspective. Um, we all have some sort of like that proverbial cross to bear. And sometimes I think, why the heck does it have to be me? And then I'm like, you know what? I'll take this over what someone else has. And that same person will say, oh, but I'll take what I have over what that person has. So it's always changing and moving. But if you're dwelling on the things that could happen, you need to retrain your brain into all the good that's happening every minute, every single second. You need to watch more of Ellen DeGeneres. I'm telling you, she makes me so happy. She's what is good in the world, in my opinion. She is infused with laughter, which laughter lifts vibration instantly, which is why I always inject humor into my galleries. And every once in a while, I'll have somebody saying, you're so irreverent because you're making people laugh. And I'm like, get the fuck out of here then, because you're miserable. And then I get a laugh out of everyone, and then everyone goes on. But I'm never irreverent. I'm the least irreverent human, but I'm also injecting humor so that I can lift the audience's vibration so that it's not as hard for me to work, actually. So focus, bring your attention back to everything that did go right. Everything, everything, everything. If it didn't go right for you, things that went right for other people. Remember that there's so many people doing good, and people really do. Our natural inclination for all of us is to help people. No one here is listening to this tonight going, yeah, fuck people. I'm not doing shit for anyone. Because today I put a call out and I had 3 girlfriends by my side in a minute. So those 3 know who they are, and people want to help. People want to be of help. People want to support. There are some sociopaths who don't, and they skew the line. They're at the other ends of the bell curve. Most of us want to be productive. Most of us want to have a purpose, and most of us want to help people. People in large, people at our friends and family. Very few people will go, I don't really care. I'm not doing it. Very few, if you really, really, really think about it. So always remember there are helpers. There are more powerful people who are doing things that are so much bigger than the world than all this negativity. I was doing online meditation, and because I don't do the meditation here, and here is much easier for me to control, and I even have issues here. But the I just changed my thought. Yeah, when I have meditation at this center, it's too much for me to handle the computer and talk to everyone on the computer and the group in front of me. And I decided that it's too stressful for me. So unless somebody wants to totally take over the whole online content and filming and all of that, I welcome that. But if I have to be the one to do it, it's too stressful for me. So at this time, I don't. Let's see. All right. Okay, perfect, Marnie. That sounds good. Boop. Is there a way to get better at hearing names during mediumship? It's so funny. As time goes on, I'm getting worse at hearing names because um, I ask people much faster than I ever did before. When I first started, I never asked for names. But over doing this so long, I always ask. I'll ask you, okay, what was so-and-so's name? And I tune into their name so much better. So maybe not. You can go through not library, no, the alphabet, and you can kind of mentally or write out the alphabet and put your finger over each letter and see like, okay, what does it start with? And you might go, oh my God, okay, it's W. Okay. And I think W. What W names? Male or female? Is it Walter? No. William? No. Wendy? No. Wyatt? Oh, it's Wyatt. Okay. So you could do it that way too if you choose. Oh my gosh. Sorry. Mary, I'm not answering personal intuitive questions tonight in this format, but that sounds horrible. My husband passed away 2 weeks ago in Antarctica. I'm wondering if he suffered and if he's okay. That's a mediumship question that I never do in this format. Even for intuitive questions, that would be more mediumship, but we'll totally send you lots of energy. And I can tell you now, he's 100%, 100% fine now that he's crossed. So I am going to wrap up here. It's a little late. Got a long day tomorrow. For those of you who are local, I have a gallery at the Poughkeepsie Grand, which is run by iHeartMedia. So they always have open seats. So if you decide kind of last minute, the doors open at 6 and you have this cocktail hour. I start at 7. It's $50. You pay at the door. I think they do checks. Yeah, checks. I don't know if they do registration ahead of time. I don't know. They're in charge of all that. But you can just show up, and I think there's an ATM if they don't do cards. They don't do cards there. How the hell do people pay? I've never even thought about this. I just show up. But make your reservation, then you could talk to them at the door. How about that? Remember for the next week, I will be here next Monday night, not Tuesday. Just remember for the next week to pay attention, feel your way through things. If you're not sure how something's going to go, posture it. Have your body actually just feel your way through it. And that's going to help you get information as to what's supposed to be. So see you guys. What else do I have coming up? I don't think, no, there's a lot coming up, but that's it that I can think of right now. So I will see you all next Monday night. And thank you. Good night. And I'll see you soon. I already said that like twice. But okay. Goodbye, guys.